Every great speech starts out like this. First, the speaker takes a moment to compose their emotions. Then, they launch into a story from their life, be it from their travels abroad, a random act of kindness they saw in a coffee shop one day, or some moment from their childhood that can somehow explain everything that they are and ever will be from this moment on. And then, they speak one of the two most magical phrases ever uttered in a public speaking event. Our world today. And then they proceed to tell you exactly what our world today is and why that needs to change. And I'm sorry, Ken, can I get a clicker up here? I don't have one. And so they will tell you exactly why our world is the way it is, and then, in a cruel twist of fate, they will stare directly into camera 2 and utter the second most magical phrase. And now it's your turn to do something about it. Thank you. Immediately you've been given a conundrum. Do you move on from this speech, continue with your day, and try to put it out of your mind, or do you actually do something about it? See, most of us are going to take that first option. I get it. I do it too. We play it safe. But I also think that all of us really do wish we could change the world. We just don't know how, and by extension, we feel unable. So today, I'm going to take away all of the excuses that you have by giving you the 3 basic steps to changing the world. Having a purpose, taking a risk, and asking what comes next. Simple, right? Yeah, I mean, if making a difference was that easy, then why doesn't everybody do it? Oh boy. See, the first step to changing the world is knowing what the heck you're going to change about it. In essence, to have a purpose. Now, this is the most important step because, and bear with me on this, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't do anything. I know that sounds really straightforward. I promise you it is much more difficult than it seems. You all have probably in your history classes heard of the Black Panther movement. Now, during the age of civil rights, this was a powerful force for community protection, defending neighborhoods against lynchings and racially motivated attacks. However, what happened was that over time, the leadership of this organization was assassinated. And without these leaders like Bunchy Carter and Huey Newton, the organization lost momentum, lost its direction, and eventually devolved into infighting and crime, completely crumbling into groups that we know today as the Bloods and the Crips. See, without purpose, no change can ever be made. Now, for some of us, this purpose can be rather easy to find. We can be born into or unwillingly inherit some set of social or cultural circumstances that can all but force us to rally behind some cause for change. But for people like me, a straight, white, Protestant, middle-class American male, not a lot of inherent conflict, believe it or not. So finding something that's going to inspire me to break out of my comfort zone can be a little bit difficult. Luckily for you, I've spared you all my own personal deliberations, and I have come equipped with a purpose all my own. I am going to save the puppies. That's right, I am going to save all of the puppies. Look at how many puppies I'm going to save. Fantastic. Step 1 complete. Moving on to step 2, right? Wrong. That purpose sucks. It's too broad. I mean, I can't save all the puppies. I'm barely hanging on to all of them right now. No one person can save all of the puppies. See, a goal that is too broad or inspecific is just as draining and ineffective as having no purpose whatsoever. Recently, Forbes magazine rated Bill Gates as being one of, if not the richest person in the world. And his charity organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has been remarkably successful because it is all focused on a singular goal: to reduce inequities in health by developing new tools and strategies to combat infectious diseases and the leading causes of child mortality in developing countries, which basically just translates to combat easily curable or preventable diseases in third world countries. And because of his influence focused on this one goal, he's been able to nearly eliminate polio from the world scene. Now, I'm not Bill Gates. None of y'all are Bill Gates. If you are, I'd love to talk to you about some scholarship opportunities. I'm a broke pre-college kid, and I'm kind of scared, honestly. But see, we don't have his influence. So while I may not be able to save all of the puppies in the world with my sphere of influence, maybe I can save all of the puppies in my neighborhood. See, your purpose does not have to be global in order for it to truly make a difference. You don't have to change every single person in the world, but you can change the whole world for just one person. So for those of us who are left standing after step 1, step 2 is where we give up and go home, and that is to take a risk. Now, the simple math behind this is that if you don't do anything, again, nothing happens. Promise you it's more difficult than it seems. You all have probably heard of Josh Gad, otherwise known as Olaf from that movie Your Little Sister Won't Stop Watching. Now, in 1999, he competed in the National Speech and Debate Association finals, and he won first in the nation. His topic was risk, and in his speech, he took a risk to prove a point that I would love to replicate here today. However, I had to think about this. What is something that all middle schoolers and high schoolers fear more than death itself? Public speaking. But I've already done that. So we're going to move on to the second greatest risk, the promposal. This is not scripted. Yes. Where's my mic? There's.
Hey, are you okay?
Hey, yes, I'm fine. So, Alex, are you going to prom with anybody this year?
No, I don't think so. I figured I'd just, go in a group or something if no one asks me. I don't know.
Awesome. You said something about nobody asking you. Can I ask you now to go to prom with me?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be so fun.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yay! I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a speech in front of about 100 people. Can I call you back in a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can
Thank you so much. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. The point that I was trying to make with that. Sorry, give me a second. The point that I was trying to make with that is that with all of those reactions that you all had to that was a change inspired by a risk that I took. See, such is the power of change that it cannot help but make a difference. Now, admittedly, all of your emotional reactions were fairly small changes. Comparatively on the global scale of things, that was a fairly small risk that I'm still getting over a little bit. It was a greater risk for Rosa Parks to sit down on that bus. And the problem lies in that the size and success of your change is equivalent to how much you risk to achieve it. See, people have offered their lives. MLK, Mahatma Gandhi gave everything they had to change the fate of a nation. They never got to see the full end result of that. Now, I'm not saying that every purpose is going to require you to become a martyr, heavens no. For me to save the puppies, the most that I might have to do is donate time and resources to create programs that will further my cause. But the point remains that you cannot make any lasting change in your life or in the lives of those around you by staying safe and secure in your own little life. Just doesn't work that way. So congratulations, you've done it! You've changed the world. Now you get to kick back and relax and just rest in the laurels of a world made new, right? Wrong. You're really bad at this game, aren't you? See, what do Napoleon Bonaparte, Genghis Khan, and Alexander the Great all have in common? Well, they all conquered the known world, all had fabulous hair, all are really overused in all of your literature essays, and were all terrible planners. Seriously, within a single generation of their defeats or deaths, their empires crumbled into a bunch of warring city-states, and that's because they never stopped to ask, what comes next? That is to say, what happens after my change has been made? See, if you don't work to actively solidify your change for future generations, it will inevitably fail. See, for me to save the puppies, I can work my entire life to create these programs that'll save all of the puppies. But more puppies are going to be born after I die, so while I'm working to save them now, I have to ensure their security for future generations. So how do I do that? The answer is community. And this is such an important point that is the only text that I have in my entire slide besides promposal. See, community is the most powerful catalyst for change that we know. And I'm going to show you how this works. Try again. I just started a grassroots movement. Like-minded individuals partnering together, coupling their influence to make a greater difference than either one of them could have eventually. As soon as we get enough power, we can reach out to other cities, other states. I can't make it that far. Across the nation, you guys are in the splash zone. Until before you know it, I have a global movement to save all of the puppies. And see, look, we did it. Now, the point that I was trying to make with that, admittedly, and they're all saved now. Now, see, the point that I was trying to make with that admittedly kind of goofy illustration is that community is the most powerful source of change in our world. Together, I know this sounds like a cliche, but we can do anything. See, changing the world is a lot like an iPhone game. It's ridiculously simple in concept, but in practice is, well, you all played Flappy Bird. And see, that's because you're going up against the two most dangerous forces known in our world, and that is fear and apathy. You have to push past your own fear of breaking out of your comfort zone and against the inertia of a world that genuinely doesn't want to change all that much. But see, all of these motivational speeches are right. You can do it. You can make a difference. You have the influence. You're already making one right now. It's a random side effect of just existing day to day. You're making a difference in my life by listening to me speak, thus enabling me to do something that I love. And I'm making a difference in your life if just by taking up 10 minutes of your time on a day when you could be doing anything better than this, taking a test, I don't know. But see, for those of us who are not okay with our world today, we will stand up with specific purpose, taking risks and asking what comes next and make a lasting impact on this world. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you have some moral obligation to change the world. That is not my job. I do not have that authority. So, instead, I'm going to conclude with some of the words of the greatest orator from my generation, G.I. Joe. So now you know, but knowing, that's only half the battle. Thank you.